ungluing the skin at the base of the skull. Okay, very well. Now I want you to pay attention to this graph. As you can see, I have indicated these red discs which show the vertebrae. Then I have indicated these yellow wires that represent the various nerves. And then I drew a light blue line that represents the base of the occipital bone, which is a bone of the skull. Now, immediately underneath, we have the second and the third cervical vertebrae. Well, this is because the first vertebrae, and sometimes even the second vertebrae, are located inside the skull. So when we treat the person and we actually feel, the first bone that we actually feel is never the first vertebrae. In fact, it will probably be the second or third cervical vertebrae, because, as I said before, the first one or the first two are almost hidden inside the skull. Another line that I've indicated is the blue line, which is perfectly horizontal here in the picture in front of you. I indicated that line to divide the first cervical vertebrae, where we will find the nerve supply to the head, from the other vertebrae, the lower vertebrae, where we find the nerve supply to the thyroid and to the neck. Then I also indicated, I drew the first dorsal vertebrae, where we find the nerve supply to the shoulders and then to the arms. Now, note that in the next video courses, we're going to find a course dedicated to vertebral therapy. So I will give you a list of each vertebrae, what these are connected to, and when this is pinched or rotated around its axis, what disorders this may affect in relation to the various organs and viscera. But this will be the topic of another video further on. Now, going back to our diagram, I want to explain to you that these nerves of the first vertebrae, where do they go? What do they innervate? Now, you have to know that giving you a comprehensive list of all the nerve supplies would take a very long time. It's a very complex subject. But my aim here is to teach you a technique that will allow you to immediately solve these alterations. So this technique, this palpé-roulé technique, will be helpful to alleviate the tension that will otherwise build up in these nerves, and then we will immediately alleviate and improve the zone innervated by these nerve supply. So if we massage the base of the skull, so we will be working right along the light blue line, the occipital bone that I indicated, and we will notice that by alleviating this zone using this technique, we will improve the nerve supply to the head, to the eyes. So for any problems related to the eyes, for example, too high eye pressure, or pain in the cheekbone, or earache, or even a sensation of ringing in the ear, referred to as tinnitus. And then we may also have problems to the nose. So this technique is very powerful, very effective in improving and also eliminating, in some cases, all these alterations. Okay, so now I'm going to start ungluing the skin in this zone. And you can see that I start from the center, from the median line, and I move to the side. You can see sometimes this may hurt, so my model here was complaining before, so I removed the audio and I recorded on top of that. Anyway, as you can see, this is simple to do. You start from the center and you move outwards. and you insist especially on this area here. That you see, I'm working along the base of the skull. This is where we find the occipital bone. So I improve considerably the nerve supply and the vascularization to the head. Obviously, once you have completed one side, you will move on to the other side. Now, look at this beautiful picture here. As you can see, at the base of the skull, we find numerous arteries and blood vessels. This is a representation of the circulatory system. And you can see that in the area that we're treating at the time, we have an infinite number of blood vessels that vascularize the head. Tension in this area will undermine the correct functioning of the head. Here I'm showing you a blow-up image of the previous one, and you can see again the technique, the palpé-relais technique. Now note that we're working on the top cervical vertebrae, so you will need to do this for all facial problems, for any types of headaches like migraines, cephalalgias, pulsating headaches. And you will notice that you will improve even headaches that person has had for many, many years. Okay, so this far we have worked on the cervical vertebrae and on the nerve supply that branch off from here and go to the skull. And if we find tension here, this may cause dysfunctions. You will work both on the right and on the left side. Now, the important thing is that you always work from the center in an outward movement, so to the side, toward the ears, to be clear. The same identical technique will be used to alleviate also the lower vertebrae, the dorsal vertebrae, because that's where we find the nerve supply that branch off to the neck and to the thyroid. Note that if you come across problems with the neck and with the throat, you will certainly be able to improve them. Any problems with cervicalgia can be improved through this technique. So make sure that you always unglue the skin in this zone. It's very important to do that. So this video, as you can see from this video, now you understand why I wanted to dedicate a separate section to it. We have so many nerve supplies here, we have so many nerves in this zone that it's difficult to understand which nerve is which. So it's quite a complex zone. I just want you to understand that the next time you'll be doing the palpé-relais technique also on the 4th, 5th, 6th or 7th cervical vertebrae, the work is identical to what I've just done here. The only difference is that you'll be working at a lower part of the body, and the massage will always be from the center, so from the median line to the outside. This will help you to improve any problems, to solve any problems in the neck, like neck pain, cervicalgia. And because it's different, many people think that neck pain and cervicalgia are the same thing. Well, that's not really true. Now, cervicalgia is a pain in the vertebrae. So when you touch it, the person will feel pain inside, in the bones inside. That's cervicalgia, and those are the cervical vertebrae. But often they confuse this with pain in the muscle tissue, which are on the side. Now, that's neck pain. But anyway, in either case, you will unglue the skin in this zone and you will thus improve all these problems. Now, moving on to the materi, to the dorsal vertebrae, you will also improve the nerve supply to the shoulders and to the arms. There, we will be working on the oxygenation zone that I've shown you in previous videos. Now, I don't remember whether I have explained this to you or not, but in any case, in the oxygenation area, we can work also in the case of breastfeeding women. And they're at that stage where their milk supply is starting to decrease in quantity. Now, working the entire zone, the oxygenation zone, so from the first vertebrae circled in green here, to the outside, so in an outward movement, and working this whole area. So we find the nerve supply to the shoulders and arms, and also to the breasts. So in particular, when in the case of breastfeeding women, obviously this technique is more efficient when the person is, when the woman and her milk supply is starting to decrease. If they have lost their milk for 30 days, then it's not going to work. But if you are able to work on a woman whose milk supply is starting to decrease in the quantity of milk, then by ungluing this zone, you will get excellent results, immediate results, and their supply of milk will last much longer than it would have if you hadn't stimulated that zone. Okay.